laments.
We just had our buddy Zach going live over at the Texas Music Cafe every morning. Zach, is that from 8 to 10? Is that right? 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. every morning. You can catch him on the Rogue Media channels here. Pretty cool deal. And as far as our show today, really happy to be going. Baylor called the game last night, had a big win at home. They took down Cincinnati, and they did it rather easily. We'll talk a little bit about that and a special guest at the game that I totally whiffed on. I literally opened my eyes this morning. You know, you work a game like that, by the time you wind down, it's like 12:30. So I woke up this morning, looked at my phone, and I saw a picture of Bo Jackson, like moving around Foster Pavilion, like still images. By the way, being reported by the news station I used to work for. There it is. So there's the pictures of maybe a guy that we've talked about on this show many a time.
What was that segment when I first got on your show where we talked about Bo?
We were talking about the best two-sport athletes of all time.
That's right.
Yeah. Which he is I would say he is, because a lot of times I think we were talking about it wasn't two-way players talking about Travis Hunter, but we were talking about, I forget exactly what it was, but it must have been two-sport athletes. And Bo Jackson is, in my opinion, the best two-sport athlete of all time. We're actually coming up to, 1990. So this would be the 35-year anniversary of basically Bo's football career ending, because it was the Raiders and the Bengals playing at the LA Coliseum in the divisional playoff game. And Bo had a breakaway run, and he gets tackled and he run out of bounds. It's at the time, it doesn't look like it's anything dramatic. They thought it was a hip pointer, but what it really was it was tendons on his hip and like a weakness that they had. I guess there was a weakness that they had found in those tendons, and really it was the end of his football career. It was. I mean, that was it for Bo Jackson. And he literally went from being the most prolific athlete of our time, my time, to ending his football career and sort of clinging to a baseball career after that. The Jeff Pearlman book came out 2 years ago. We actually had Jeff Pearlman on like the first iteration of this show to talk about Bo Jackson's book. He grew up in Bessemer, Alabama. It's just an awesome story, the book by Pearlman. Yeah, I loved it. So anyways, last night, this is like, I'm calling the game, and the game, it was such a smooth broadcast. Like, props to the dude, Jacob Garza, who produced the game, and I worked with Chris Patola. I mean, unfortunately, the game sucked. Baylor ended up winning by 20 in Cincinnati. It felt like a couple guys didn't even get off the bus. So, because Cincinnati's actually pretty good, at least I thought they were going to be, but the game kind of turns into a blowout. So I noticed that Chip Gaines is sitting baseline. And at a Baylor game, if an opposing player misses two straight free throws, they get cupcakes. This is a window into just how stupid I am, how much of a jackass I am. So opposing player, I think it's Dan Skillings for Cincinnati, misses his first free throw. This is in the second half. So the crowd starts to buzz a little bit, and the game at this point is becoming a little bit of a blowout. So my partner, Chris, and I are going back and forth about, if they miss the second free throw, all the fans will get cupcakes from Magnolia. Now, Chip Gaines is at the game in the other end, on the other end of the floor. So I kind of make a mental note. So he misses the second free throw. Everybody in the arena cheers because now they get free cupcakes. I am like focusing my eyes on Chip Gaines, and I'm like, Chip Gaines from Magnolia is here. Like, I wonder if he'll be handing out the cupcakes in person. Could be a busy night for him. Like, obviously that's not going to happen. But sitting right next to Chip Gaines is a dude with his hat down, and it's Bo Jackson. So I'm sitting there talking about cupcakes and Chip Gaines, like trying to fill time in a college basketball blowout, like, yuck, 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 there'll be cupcakes coming up for everybody. Don't worry about it. Maybe Chip Gaines will hand them out himself. Meantime, he's sitting next to one of the greatest athletes. My whole childhood is packaged, seated there, courtside at the baseline or on the baseline of this game I'm calling. So when I woke up this morning, like the employee in me, the maybe like the news person in me, I don't know what, but I saw that picture and I was like so pissed off. I'm like, how did I miss that? Like, how did I miss that? Like, that's it's not that big a deal. Like, nobody from ESPN is going to care. I care. Like, it was a show that I was a part of, and I missed it. And like I saw Chip, I didn't recognize that was Bo Jackson. I must have looked down at Chip a few times during the game just to kind of see if he was still there. And honestly, it was also on my fault because if I had thought enough to tell the director, there's a talkback button where you could tell the director, hey, zoom in on Chip Gaines. He's sitting down on the baseline. Maybe a camera angle would have revealed one of the most pleasant surprises of last night. And that would have been that, oh my God, that's actually Bo Jackson sitting next to Chip Gaines. A little more information this morning. I did a little digging talking to my friends around Central Texas. And so apparently Bo is a huge, he's a bow and arrow guy. Like Hunter, and he hunts around here all the time. Go ahead.
I mean, the guy was like an Olympian caliber athlete. Of course, he shoots a bow and arrow.
Yeah,
like,
he shoots a bow and arrow.
Fits, right?
Dude, he's a big time hunter.
He's from the South, so it all makes sense.
I'll read you some of the messages I was getting this morning. I won't put any names on them. But here it is from someone who is very close to the situation. Some friends in Gatesville have hosted him several times. Hunts around here a lot, all caps. So he must have been, in town on a hunting excursion. Can you hunt? I mean, would you go hunting now? It's so cold.
I mean, deer season starts in November, and it's past by now. But yeah, winter is usually good hunting around Texas.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the best time to hunt deer. It's when you get the antlers on the
so now is a prime time.
Yeah. Or the past couple months have been.
Okay.
Yes. You're kind of out of that deer season now.
Yeah.
November, December is hot deer season.
Okay.
I wonder though, like, Pete, maybe you can give me some perspective since you're not from Waco. As a Waco raised person, Chip Gaines does not strike me on the same level of celebrity as a Bo Jackson or as a, insert famous Hollywood persona here. And it, like, how did Chip Gaines end up running around with Bo Jackson? Do you think they've hunted together?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'll tell you exactly how. Do re mi. Like, when you start to make that kind of money, you just run in different circles. Like you have access to different people, and you find out that some of those people in your different circles have some of the same interests you do. So I'm sure Chip, I'm not sure, but if I were to guess, Chip has connections with people that have a ton of land in Texas, and maybe Bo and Chip both hunt on that land, or maybe Chip gives Bo the opportunity. That's my guess. And again, this is pure speculation.
So little tangential relation to you last night. So you had Bo Jackson, not as big of a deal, but I was at La Vega High School last night broadcasting high school basketball. Yeah. For a women's varsity game, just smaller gym, just hanging out. And all of a sudden they get on the PA and they say, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome back to the gymnasium, Will London.
Oh, really?
American Olympian 400-meter runner. And I was like, holy cow. So we had a little celebrity guest appearance at La Vega High School, a little guest appearance at
Now I'm going to tell you something. This is a little inside like game operations. So the folks at La Vega, or was the game at La Vega or China Springs?
Yeah, it was at La Vega. Yeah.
They you could say maybe handled it a little better than like, and I don't know if Baylor was told, hey, don't put Bo on the big channel because that's the thing. He's pretty private guy.
Yeah. So he wasn't ever on the big board in the stadium or anything.
No. If he was, I missed it. And I'd like to think if he was, I would have been like, oh my God, Bo Jackson.
Well, my folks were at the game and they know how much I like him. So I feel like they would have texted me or something.
If they'd noticed. Yeah, nobody knew.
Right.
So I was like, when I woke up this morning, I was like, oh, are you kidding me? That like, I feel like I kind of missed that one. And it would have been nice had we been told that he was there, but I'm going to go on the assumption, and it's over, so I'm just flushing it. I'm going to go on because I absolutely love the dudes from Baylor. Matt Roberts and David Kay. They do an awesome job, and I'm going to go on the assumption that they were told, "Hey, don't keep this on the DL." And so, yeah, that's in a blowout that certainly could have helped. On the floor, really good news for Baylor. They were down 2 guys. No Langston Love, no Jalen Celestine, and they still played awesome. And coming off that loss at Iowa State and beating a Utah team that has proven to be not very good at all, it was sort of like, okay, what is Baylor? Who is Baylor? Are they any good? Last night they proved that, they're good. Norshad Omier is, as Chris was saying all night long, the guy I called the game with, Spatola. He's just relentless. He had his 76 career double-double last night. That's the most of any active player. The guy scored over 2,000 points. I think it's like 2,000 and almost 2,100 now. And he was having not an issue, but he was getting a lot of open looks from 3. And that's not his game. And it was really working out favorably for opposing defenses, specifically Iowa State, because you're giving him those open looks from 3. He's being encouraged to take those looks because the coaching staff wants to see him develop that side of his game. And now you had him in a situation on Saturday in Ames where he's just launching 3 after 3 and he's missing them. And not only is he ineffective from that part of the floor, but now he's not able to do what he does underneath the basket, which is attract attention and find other players on the perimeter. So there was a recalibration of his shot selection, as we were sort of told. That Chris came up with that term, but we chat with Scott Drew, we chat with Wes Miller, the coach of Cincinnati. Scott Drew was very much like, hey, like, I wanted him to take those shots. Like, those are shots that we want him to develop, and that shot tracker. There's so many things that they use now, so many tools in college basketball they use that were never used when I was last really paying strict attention to this stuff, right? Like, even when I worked in the NBA, I don't remember people constantly talking about shot trackers and all this stuff, but apparently it's, as we know now from watching the NBA, it's so numbers. And, Coach Drew was telling us that, the shot tracker says that's a shot that, he's always going to take and needs to take. Although he was not, clearly wasn't making them at Iowa State. And last night he was spending most of his time down on the block. They get him the ball down there. By the time he was done, there were like 4 or 5 guys on him. He's got the ability to absorb contact and make the shot. And he's also got the ability to camp down there on the block, and he's doing what he needs to do down there. And another huge part of that game last night for Baylor was VJ Edgecombe. I mean, he continued, like, I feel like not only we're watching an amazing talent before our eyes, but he continues to improve before our eyes. His shot selection, again, Baylor outscored. There was a point in the night last night where Kirk Coomey, my buddy who's doing stats, showed me a stat. They were outscoring Cincinnati in the paint 36-6. And it was very clear that the message had been sent and the message had been received that we have got to go downhill at these opponents. And a huge benefit last night, the fact that it was a blowout win, was that Baylor was down. They were down 2 guys. Langston Love, regardless of what anybody tells you, he's day-to-day every day. Like, he may get better and you may see flashes of him one game, but that doesn't mean he's out of the woods or is going to be playing, throughout the season at even an 80% level. It's become pretty clear that just looking at him, like, I can tell you, like, a little, like, I hate the Bill Simmons, like, oh, he passes the eye test, but like seeing him or the body language, like seeing him there last night at shoot around or yesterday afternoon during shoot around, he just looked dejected, and he looks like he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. And unbeknownst to me at that time, but it was probably had already been made apparent to him that he was not going to play right in that game. And that's a huge piece for Baylor. They do hope that they will be going after a championship or a conference title with him on the floor. But that remains to be seen, and he's a huge piece of it. And they're going to keep moving forward, and getting better, and hoping that he can join, and be a big part of things down the stretch. You got anything, Scotty?
Yeah, Pete, we've got our friend Bear the Truth back on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And first of all, he's got 2 comments I want you to respond to real quick. First of all, he says Nunn's D was on fire. That was one of his observations from the ball game.
Uh-huh.
And then he just asked, does Love's availability make Baylor more of an outside team because of his 3-point shooting?
Yeah, I think it does. But when he's on the floor, I think it certainly does. But right now, with him being off the floor, I think, and that's why we saw Baylor going downhill, at Cincinnati a lot last night. Like, with him not out there, they have to be who they are, right? And that's kind of what Coach Drew was telling us yesterday, that they want to start to attack the opposition and not, let the game come to them per se. Like, there's certain players like VJ Edgecombe needs the game to come to him, because otherwise he can be out there like a wild horse. As far as their offense is concerned and the way that they're constructed, there's going to be opportunities for Norchad Omier to shoot threes because defenses want him to shoot threes. So you have to kind of figure out who you are. As far as the Nunn situation is concerned, yeah, that's a great point. He played amazing D, and his 104th straight start, he's like a lighthouse of consistency. And that defense that Baylor played last night, they held Cincinnati to 20 points in the first half and 23% shooting. Those are 2 season lows for a team that is kind of struggling to find its identity. Remember, Cincinnati last week at this time was ranked 16th. And Wes Miller told us yesterday they were a couple bounces of the ball away from winning Kansas State and winning Arizona and being ranked, inside the top 10. What are you laughing at?
Sorry, I'm going to get us off topic. I just remembered something
go ahead.
About the game last night,
and
I want to know how you handled it. Because I was broadcasting high school basketball. I was driving home. I turned on the Baylor radio broadcast on my way home. Jizzle James. Can I just tell you that one of the funniest things I've ever heard is John Morris saying about 6 times, Jizzle James. Was killing me.
I mean, look, he's Edgerrin James' son, right? So right there, there's a
respect.
There's a reverence.
Right,
yeah,
right.
But yeah, Jizzle. So I read up about that. So Jizzle is basically, his name is Edgerrin James too.
Oh, okay.
So Jizzle was a name that was bestowed to him by his father because he was like, I want you to have like an alter ego on the basketball floor. I want you to be a dog. I want you to be nasty. So like on the basketball floor, he's Jizzle. And look, Wes Miller says Jizzle James is a freshman. He's never seen a freshman work that hard. The dude busts his ass. Like, if you look at him on the floor, clearly he's got some athletic ability because you look at his dad. But no, he was like, he worked as hard as anybody in the offseason. He got a lot better. But that's not what you're asking about his name. You just go with Jizzle James.
Hey, there you go. I mean, I just got to say, I don't follow Cincinnati. So I pulled up the broadcast, and the first time John Morris said it, I kind of blinked and looked down at the radio. The second time he said it, nope, that's what he said. Yeah. Jizzle James.
I mean, look, and Spatola, who I worked with, had a lot. He can dance on the edge a little bit. He's got a lot more street cred over there at ESPN than I do. He has a little more fun with it. Like, we're going to break, and he's doing some Jizzle stuff that I probably wouldn't touch, but it was funny and good all the way. On
the scale of 0 to Robert Griffin, how far did he go with it last night?
He went pretty far. I mean, but it was funny, but he goes pretty far. Good. Robert Griffin was like, he was out of control. I remember Robert. I heard Robert mention an orgy in the end zone.
That's the all-time favorite.
I was like, okay. That was the first quarter celebration, week 1 of the college football season. I was like, okay, we're off.
That one, and I think he coined, I've seen several people say it now, but I think he coined last season Big Penix energy.
Yes.
For Michael Penix.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah. Big time.
All right, we got Paul Catalina in studio. Coming up next, the Pete Souza Show, powered by Slovacics and Socorro Family Ford of West, rolls on after this.